Hello, this is wmpyr. I want to go into a little bit more detail of what I talked about in the last video, which was stun, hurt, throw. Now, back in my first year of college, I found this book called Get Tough, and it really had a very strong impression on me. And you guys could see it right here. It was written by Captain Fairbairn, and it's pretty much you can call it the father of modern Army combatives type stuff. And yeah, this is amazing stuff. And back then, once again, it had a very strong impression on me, and I used it as part of my arsenal, and I continue to study it to this day. And my personal notes is right here. This is not what Captain Fairbairn comes out and says, but this is my own interpretation of his work. Okay, I organized it into 3 steps. So, 3 steps to me is nice and simple and it makes sense. And I believe that you could apply this to just about any style out there. So no matter what style you do, you could apply these 3 steps. So please treat this as a organizer. And that's what I did for me personally. I'm using this as an organizer. I'm not using the same techniques. The techniques here are knife hand, chin jab, and takedown. The takedown, he shows several, but my techniques are different. But the formula, the stun, hurt, throw, I definitely use it in my own system, and you can as well. Now, the Captain Fairbairn method here, I believe, has a strong influence from Asian martial arts, Chinese and Japanese martial arts. Okay, and in those systems, I believe they use a lot of stun, hurt, throw. They use the same formula. But Captain Fairbairn studied these Asian styles with a Western mindset, and that's why we have something that is very simple to understand. Whereas if you maybe study the Asian arts as is, it could be very complex and deep. And Captain Fairbairn, he wanted to cut to the chase, and he needed his soldiers, his crew, to learn this stuff as quickly as possible. And he didn't care about mastery. He didn't care about lifelong um, mastery type stuff. He just needed them to be able to use some of this stuff to, save lives. So I found that to be very interesting and useful, because at the end of the day, it comes down to, your techniques or tools, and then how well you organize your tools is going to be how easy it becomes for you to access your tools. So if you don't have a good organizer, no matter how good your tools are, no matter how good your skills, your techniques are, if you can't access them well, or if they're confusing, or you didn't really think of it through, you might end up using the wrong technique at the wrong time. And we all know that using the wrong tool for the wrong task can make the task 10 times more difficult or impossible to solve. But if you use the right tool, man, it becomes like magic. So that's essentially what this is. This is all about organizing the techniques here. Okay. So you could use this for your style too, as an organizer. Stun, hurt, throw, I think, is very simple, easy to remember, and you just have to figure out what techniques go where for you. The knife hand for Captain Fairbairn, he seems to really like this technique, and there are some times where he's explaining it where he is hitting the opponent's arm. And for me, that's very relatable in Eskrima, where we defang the snake. We essentially attack the limbs. We attack the attack type stuff. So that's very easy for me to understand. But the idea here is you want to stun the opponent. Jeet Kune Do people can understand this as a destruction, and then you stun the opponent, and that takes you to the next, where now you want to hurt. You want to do some damage, so hurt the opponent. And in this case, it is the chin jab technique, which for Captain Fairbairn. I believe this is his, by far, bar none, the most favorite technique of his. And then the next one is, even if your opponent is bigger and stronger, once you've stunned them, once you've hurt them, now you have a much better chance to throw them. And once you throw them, this is where, this is step 3. This is where it ends, because now you have the choice to either escape and run away, or you could finish them. And one of the moves he showed was a Bronco stomp, which was a double stomp to the opponent. You could imagine that would crack ribs, that would fracture skulls. I mean, devastating type of stuff. But yeah, so that's why it ends right here with 3 steps, because the next part is you have the option kind of thing. Now, it doesn't have to be knife hand, chin jab, takedown. There's the takedown, especially. There's lots of. There were several moves that he showed. In chin jab, he could connect it. There were other moves that you could substitute and connect with, combo them even. And for the knife hand, once again, also there are other moves that you could substitute with. But the main idea is stun, hurt, throw. Now, one thing that I definitely do have to mention is for hurt, okay, once you stun the guy, right, the next step is hurt. When you hurt the opponent, this chin jab takes place in what they call CQC, close quarters combat. Now, this is extremely important, because essentially what that means is they are doing this move in what I call close range, or what a lot of other people will call the clinch. Okay, so what they're basically telling you is the moment you stun the opponent, you need to immediately jump into close range. Skip medium range. That is the message here. And that kind of makes sense, because you could imagine once you stun the opponent, they're not just going to stand there. They're going to try to fight out of that. They're going to try to get back into the fight as quick as possible, and they're going to want to pay you back. And this probably could be a really big haymaker coming right for your head, right? They want to punch you out. So essentially what you're doing is immediately after the stun and they're trying to come back at you, you're going to be way too close for them to punch you. So you're skipping medium range. Most people's logic to fight is medium range. And you're not doing that. You're being in close quarters combat. You're being way too close for that to happen. And that could throw them off. And this is where you land the chin jab. And this is exactly where you want to be, because that's where the throw is going to take place, where the chin jab lands, which is step 2 and step 3 is in close range, which is the clinch. So I thought that was also extremely interesting, because in Eskrima, the one thing, probably one of the most important things that I learned was medium range is pretty much somewhere where you don't want to be in. With weapons especially, it's just devastating to be in medium range. I mean, you watch an Eskrima sport match, and you could see they're just going after each other, and they are landing like, what looks to me like hundreds of blows on each other. And you could just imagine without the padded armor, it would just be totally brutal. So that's the lesson there, is to skip medium range. And the throw or the takedown, that definitely, once again, disorients your opponent, and that creates the opportunity for you to run away or finish. So that's it for now. Once again, this concept is very simple. I really like it. Easy to remember, even under stress and stuff. And you could apply it to any style. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.